Good morning to you and welcome to NTV Morning. Felix Manyindo to handle this segment, and of course we have the league starting in 2 weeks, but already a storm has been kicked up. 2 weeks to the starting of the league, we have a new format that could come in, and we have some teams are saying they won't play in the league. Some teams have already agreed. I don't know whether won't play or won't agree to the format, but at least we have 4 teams that have said that didn't sign on the agreement to be part of the new format. And on my panel, I have Deo Kasozi representing Kitara FC. I have Haruna Chobe from Vipers Sports Club, and of course Elvis Senono, our in-house expert. And I will start with Elvis before we get to yes. You have looked at the format. You have looked at what they have suggested. Basically 3 rounds. Try to make it make sense.
You've turned me into a PRO of the federation. I'm trying to explain to the public the new format.
Yes.
Because even some of the people at the federation are finding it difficult to explain that new format. But if you go to the FIFA website, they've managed to break it down again. The earlier communication I thought wasn't very, very clear. But at least this week, they've tried to break it down. And from my understanding, maybe Haruna Chobe and Deo Kasozi might chip in at some point, because this is something new that we are experimenting with.
Yes.
There are 3 rounds that are to be played. The first round will involve all the 16 teams, and that will involve playing each team once. That is a round robin format. So you play 15 games, 16 teams. You play 15 games, facing each team once. Then thereafter, the top 8 will be separated. The top 8 and then the bottom 8. And they will be split into 2 groups. From the 2 groups, you'll play on a home and away basis.
Yeah.
The top 8 play each other twice, home and away. The bottom 8 play each other twice, home and away. Thereafter, you proceed to the 3rd round, where you play each other once, and after the top 6, you see, that's where I get confused.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted, because I've been on the FIFA website
from the 2nd round.
Yes.
After you get the top 8, you get the top 6 proceeding to the 3rd round.
Now, the reason I started with you, and the reason you got stuck in traffic lights is I've been on the FIFA website for a whole hour this morning, and I'm trying to make sense out of it, and it still doesn't sit well. It's why I'm like, okay, Elvis, try to make it make sense. But
I hope finally you've understood. After the 2nd round, the top 6 will play and will vie for the championship, for the title. And then the 2, I don't know if that has been changed, even at this late stage in the campaign or in the process. I don't know, Kasozi, if you have the latest update. The bottom 2 from the top 8 after the 2nd round, I'm not sure if they'll be playing the bottom in the 3rd round.
There has been an adjustment.
There you go.
Team number 7 and team number 8, and then team number 1 and 2, the 2nd group, which is going to be composed of the 8 last groups after the 1st round, will also be playing, because an issue came up. The first declaration was these will end their league after playing 29 games. So the agreement was these should also play their own group, the 4 teams. That is team number 7 and team number 8, and then 1 and 2. The 2nd group, which is going to be
that's 9 and 10.
It is almost like 9 and 10, but it's going to be from 1 to 8, because these groups are going to be split 1 to 8, and the other ones 1 to 8. After that, the teams that will be number 14, from what Chobe has said, will have to do a playoff with the 2nd division team. that is going to be number 3. So there's not going to be an automatic qualification like it has been from the big league, 3 teams coming. There will be a playoffs and it will be home and away. The team that will have a better result will be able to be licensed in the Premier League. It is not like the past where 3 teams were relegated automatically, but the 2 teams that will be number 15 and 16 will be relegated automatically into the second division and will be eligible for
let me cut you off there. The last 3 seasons we've actually had the most exciting leagues, I think, in a very long time. And actually the season Kitara were promoted, the team finished 5th, but on the final day they 4th, yes, but on the final day they had a minimum chance or an outside chance of also winning the league if everything had gone their way. Then you had the season Villa won. Then last season Haruna's Vipers.
In that very season you have talked about.
Yes.
The federation even had to hire a chopper.
Yes, exactly. to determine where we'll go. And then last season, I think Vipers went to Kitara on the second last day to confirm the league title. Why would one want to mess up something that was actually generating interest from fans? Yes.
Honestly, if I was only thinking about advantages for Kitara, I would say that the old format is better if it is just for a personal club, because it is easier, as you have stated it, to be a champion. Me, I had just come, I thought it was very difficult. I was about to take the trophy. It was easier for me to easily take the trophy. Actually, if I had beaten Bright Stars, I was a champion because I had a better Kitara. We had a better head-to-head against Villa, which later on emerged the champion. So it was easier, and I believe that that is not good. If it is for the entire game, it should be very difficult. And when it becomes difficult, it even becomes more exciting. It should be very difficult for teams to take the trophy, not only looking at 1 or 2 games that are going to decide the final. Actually, if you look at the games that took the trophy, our game against Gaddafi in Masindi, we collected 1 million, up from, rather down from 30 million that we used to collect in normal games. The game against Bright Stars, you know what happened, rather against Vipers, where they took the trophy from us, we filled the second 11 because we were targeting the Uganda Cup. So I think the old format, whereas the competition was there, but it was easier for me to really walk from anywhere and take the trophy. So for me, this new format is going to create a lot of competitive games, and that's what I want. And the fans will be happy to be at tenterhooks, to have almost 5-10 games which are at tenterhooks.
Okay, maybe let's first see how it flows, and because right now it's very hard to sell. Aruna Chobe, Vipers have been one of the most vocal clubs against this new format. Care to break down for us why the club takes that stance?
Even before I go there, when you hear Adele talk, he's kind of trying to undermine the recruitment, which was done by Kitara, the efforts by the technical committee. When he comes up to say that he didn't know it was that easy to win the league, that statement undermines the whole preparations which were done by the club when they have just joined from the big league. That's what it says. Because when you look at the way Kitara came, even when they were still in the big league, they were recruiting super division material players. You remember that time when they were still with Sam Simbwa? Yes. Sam Simbwa did the whole recruitment of a team which was trying to compete in the top tier league. And indeed, they did that. So it's unfortunate. He's trying to undermine all those efforts. Yes. So when I come to the way Vipers is being structured, when you look at the investment, I believe there's no single club in Uganda which invests in player recruitments and even the infrastructure and the facilities like Vipers. So that tells you that when you prepare for something, you can definitely gain out of it. That's what I can say.
Okay, but your boss has been very vocal to the point of accusing the clubs that agreed to the new format of being actually coerced into signing that agreement, because initially you were more than I think 7 or 8 clubs. In there were also the likes of Express, Lugazi, KCCA, and but when the dust settled, you were left with Villa and NEC standing just 3 clubs against the format. What is it exactly that Vipers see that is not good with this format?
When you look at the whole format, the way it has been structured, it kind of creates room for match fixing. And believe you me, when you look at the way our clubs survive, whereby there is no that kind of money to facilitate the club for the whole season, this new format creates room for these clubs to earn out of what? Out of match fixing. When you look at the whole format, the competitiveness stops at the first round, whereby everybody will be fighting to get either into the top 8 or the bottom 8. And once someone gets into the top 8, that alone confirms that is what? Is already safe. He's assured of his stay in the next Uganda Premier League season. So, in the top 8, not all the 8 teams will be vying for the trophy. That's a known secret, a public secret. No team in the top 8 will be fighting. Not all the teams will be fighting for the what? For the title.
Yes.
There will be teams that will fight only to get a better place within the what? Within the last positions. So once that happens, it will create room. I'm already safe. Why am I fighting for? I can't get the what? I can't get the trophy.
Yes.
There you are creating room for match fixing. Then there was mentioned about the bottom 2 of the top 8 and the top 2 of the bottom 8. Those 4, the games they are going to play, what value do they carry? They are already secure. They are already in the league. Now they are playing just games to get to positions 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th. And these games we are talking about come with a lot of expenses, but with no value. So at the end of the day, when you look at the oral format, there are so many imbalances. There is unfairness. Now look at a scenario whereby there is the top scorer trying to vie for the top accolade within these 4, but they are playing less games because initially they were going to rest after the second round, but after some consultations, then the clubs raised that maybe even these 4 needed to add more more games to be played. And at the end of the day, when you look at those games, definitely they are of no value. And again, they don't add up to the same numbers like the ones who will proceed to the final round.
Okay. Still,
there are 2 less games. These 2 will be playing. That alone creates unfairness. If there is someone who is vying for top scorers accolade, someone vying for best goalkeepers award, the other 2 is vying with have 2 more games now. Even after addressing that situation, it has not been solved like it would be.
So there's still a problem.
There's still a problem.
Okay, Elvis, we've seen globally some of the changes that are implemented. At least you see them run a season before somewhere as a trial before they actually thrown onto the top flight. Why is it that in Uganda we have a situation where before a season starts, somehow FIFA keeps coming up with ideas that they insist on being implemented that very season? Remember the issues of the pitches, the dressing rooms and everything, and you're throwing it at teams like a week or 2 before the season starts, and we're again back to the same situation.
Yeah, you've almost read my mind this morning, because I think the 4 of us in studio, for those in support and not in support of the new format, I think we can all agree that this has been rushed a bit. This morning, right in front of my phone, I have a story in The Guardian, and UEFA had reforms that they were trying to introduce. That was to allow domestic games be played in foreign countries. But in a statement they released yesterday, they said they are going to consult more with other stakeholders, and they are postponing that initiative. And they say among the other stakeholders, they are including funds. Now, it's only Uganda where we are special in the way we unique with the way we operate. Because once you bring a proposal, and I was struggling to break down the new format a few minutes ago. If I'm struggling, then what of my viewers, what of our fans, or what of our football fans? I'm not saying they are that daft or not intelligent, but the truth is there is a lot more sensitization that needs to be done. And for me, while you might ask me if I agree or do not agree with the format, the basic should be is that most stakeholders should be consulted. You bring up something and people are struggling to explain it. Last week we saw on social media those clips that were making rounds. A whole vice president of the federation, ironically, supposedly representing clubs. But she's clueless, Florence Natural, about the format. She was giving very, very funny responses to the questions that were being asked. Now, if the person representing the clubs does not understand the format, as recent as last week, if as recent as Tuesday or Wednesday, I was speaking to the CEO of UPL, and was saying there are still adjustments, like Deo has said, adjustments that are still being made. Then why on earth are we rushing this thing? It's just 2 weeks too.
Yes.
And for me, it's about, it gives me a sense that maybe some stakeholders are not really being valued. Because you're introducing something, you've spoken yes to the, first of all, they spoke to the CEOs. The CEOs did not understand. Because if they had understood, they would have passed on the message to their bosses, these Kasosis, and there wouldn't have been any dust raised. But the CEOs failed to explain to their bosses. It required the former president to call these Kasosis to the table and explain again. Now you leave the CEOs, you go to the bosses, it's still taking time. Because from the engagements, you can clearly see that either people are uncomfortable or are yet to fully understand. Then you've not spoken to the media at all. The first statement, if you can retrieve it, that was issued, it wasn't clear. And I read it several times from the federation that was issued. You are not too sure. Are they playing round robin? Are they playing home and away? And then eventually this week, like I said, they issued a statement that was clearer than the first one. So for me, it's about engaging all the other stakeholders and acknowledging that they are really important. This is the new, this is the latest post or the communication. Now this one is very, very clear when you go to the FIFA website. You can at least try to make sense of it. But for me, the whole thing, it's about time. And you have to listen to the other stakeholders as well. Because this product, at the end of the day, we are selling it to the fans. And the fans do not understand it completely. So for me, we may agree about the merits and demerits of the format, but we need to sensitize. If we don't even need to benchmark from UEFA and how they operate, but let's make everyone involved.
Actually, when you talk about sensitization, there was also an opposition to this new Champions League format, but UEFA kept explaining, and the idea was actually born a season before. But Kasozi, maybe in the large, the grand scheme of things, the clubs are the product that FIFA needs. Why is it that there is a kind of character from FIFA that seems to be pushing clubs to do as they are told or face consequences, yet you are the ones that actually are the product that is needed? When are we going to see a time where all clubs sit as one and decide we shall go like this? Because not all the clubs that actually agreed were actually in good faith, and it's not because that Chobe's boss talked about it. I try to verify and try to get conversations with some of them. In the long run, where does this leave the clubs? If everything FIFA throws at you guys, you're just going to roll over.
I don't know whether you'll allow me to also respond a bit from my senior Chobe. the weaknesses that he has cited, for example, an issue of match fixing. I think the issue of match fixing is all over the world, and does not necessarily mean it affects only the new format. And I think there are ways of how the people who curtail match fixing are able to curtail some of these. If the 4 teams are going to play and they have nothing they are playing for, and the ladders of match fixing see these are fixed games, they will be downloaded. They won't go on. Tomorrow I'm playing a classification game. Kitara is playing a classification game at Lugogo.
In the Super 8.
In the Super 8. But fans are going to come and watch that game. There is a reason as to why fans come to watch particular games, even if assumed that they are not going to be very important. For example, for me, our game is very important because we want to be classified in the Super 8. So I believe that these games will remain competitive as well. Even people who are struggling for relegation, people are going to come and see how their teams are struggling for relegation. One time in Hoima we played a very small team, and people were thinking maybe this game is a small game here and there, but we had 15,000 fans coming to watch the game. So there are reasons as to why clubs exist. Others exist to be in a position which they want, not necessarily to come for the trophy, and their fans will be very happy. Going back to your question of clubs,
do the clubs know their value?
Know their
value?
Their value.
Yes.
One, the Premier League has 16 clubs. 13 clubs voted in favor of the reforms, and 3 did not. These clubs have reasons why they exist. And the reasons as to why they exist are different. And they came up and said, whether they were influenced or not, they came up and said that for us we are going by the new reforms. It means the reasons that the reasons that made them exist are favoring them to go for the reforms. So for you can't come and say that you don't go for the reforms because of ABCD. For them, they exist, and their structures are telling them we go for the reforms. You can't refuse them. So for me, I have no problem with clubs voting to go for the reforms. But I must say that I think we need to have a good debate on the advantages of this, because not everything can be pre-tested all the time. If a new idea has come up, we can implement it. Kitara has implemented some new ideas, as you are aware, which are not anywhere in the world, and we did not pre-test them. We just implemented. We announce money which we have collected. Is there no one who announces that money across? No one.
Mr. Chum,
and in the new format, it is there for clubs to be able to declare what they are getting from their funds, and that is good for the game, because people are able to invest, knowing that they will be able to.
Mr. Chum, do you agree? Do the clubs know their value?
I think, and I doubt whether they do, because when you look at the way they was put it, a week earlier, when we met with the federation to have a debate on the whole new format, clubs were against. And they were even supposed to have released a statement. Elvis, you remember, they were supposed to have released a statement.
Yes.
And whatever they discussed, they were supposed to meet again on Tuesday. And you know what happened? The next very day, the federation released its own statement. And in that statement, there was kind of threatening language, intimidation. It's either you take the new format with the money,
or we
transfer the whole amount to the big league.
Let him finish.
And moreover,
yes,
a day earlier, they had just discussed all those details, and they gave themselves a week to do it, to come up with a final stand on the new format. And that's why you see, even during the meeting, that's why you see Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa had to storm out of the meeting because previously they assured him, they even appointed him chairman of the chairmen of the clubs, purposely to see that they do what? They find a way out. And eventually, it did not come. So a week later, he comes into a meeting and all heads had been turned on. People who were saying that we are against this, we are now saying we are in for the what? For the new reforms. And unfortunately, without even addressing the issues which had been raised earlier, we have only talked about the other what? The other unfairness. But Felix, have you looked at a scenario whereby in the first round you play 15 games, but the third round, the round of 6, for one to determine who will be playing at home or who will be playing away, you go back to the what? To the draws of the first round. Now look at the scenario here. The teams, this is football, and anything can happen. The 60 teams which qualify to the final round, there might be a scenario whereby you played all the 5 away from home or at your own home. Meaning, in the final round, you have to travel
for
all the 5 games. It can happen. You have to travel all the what? The 5 games. These are issues which need to be critically looked at, and we find solutions for them. But even before solutions are found, the Federation is saying this is a do or die. You either take it or leave it, without even addressing these critical issues of unfairness.
Okay. You had
I
something
wanted to interject.
yes.
Fortunately, you know, I was part of the meeting representing Chitara as a president. The interim president did not attend. I represented as a president. My brother senior did not attend the meeting, but of course he got some correspondences that came out. And that's why you see some of these debates. You need to also have final decision makers in some of the things. Whatever the Federation communicated after the meeting that we had at Serena, the first meeting. Actually, the first meeting was organized by clubs. I think it is Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa and Mandela who even paid for the venue and the other things to coordinate this particular meeting. But whatever the Federation communicated was agreed upon in the meeting. Actually, it was surprising in the meeting, the second meeting, it was surprising that some clubs, of course the 3 clubs, were saying that that is what had not been agreed upon. Because in the way forwards from that meeting, we agreed on what is going to be done, and whatever was communicated by the Federation in the circular thereafter was agreed upon, that from here we are going to write all what we have agreed, and the clubs come up. The only thing we never agreed upon was only the format. The rest we had agreed fully. And we agreed that the Federation was going to write a circular to that effect. And immediately after that meeting, the circular came out. So my brother, on that particular, there is a small gap because we attended and we agreed that we are going to have that circular out.
Even Doctor attended.
Doctor attended, yes. Actually, it was surprising in the second meeting. Yes, it was surprising in the second meeting. The meeting was chaired by Engineer Magogo. But it was surprising that in the second meeting, some clubs had written against what we had agreed upon, that we didn't agree on this, we didn't agree on this. So it was surprising. But honestly, I want to say that whatever was discussed in the meeting came up in that circular, and it had been agreed upon. So there's nothing.
Let me go to Elvis.
The issue of unfairness, I request just a simple, maybe 2 seconds. If a club played home, and in the determination of the trophy is going to play away, I think that is what they are talking about, that they want to bring in that bit of fairness, because the playing of the first round is going to be determined by a draw, and a draw is a probability. So you have a chance. He's saying you have a chance of playing all away. It is a possibility, but what they are talking about, that if you played away, you'll play home, to bring in that harmonization now in the final thing, to say that at least every club has been treated fairly. For example, my second game is going to be a double header according to the fixture release. I'm going to play Vipers at Nambole, but that game was supposed to be in Hoima. Supposed to be in Hoima. So you can see that some of the reforms that are coming up, we want to really promote the game, not necessarily looking at our own individual benefits. Because if there is a double header in Nambole and I'm supposed to play in Hoima, but I come and play in Nambole, you can see how I'm looking at the entire product. I'm not only looking at Chitara. I would have said no, let me be in Chitara.
Elvis, now the issue of budgets are coming with these clubs, because with this new format, that means you put in an extra game on these clubs that some, of course there are some like Vipers and Kitara that can go through the season, but then there are some that stretch themselves, and now you're dropping an extra game on them.
In fact, it's not an extra. 5 extra games.
Chitara can go through the season when Kasozi is around. You might also add, but yes, it's an extra cost, and it's again one of those things for me that need to be discussed thoroughly, because this is an extra cost added on. Remember, over the years, the Federation has been introducing reforms or initiatives, and I believe they are for the good of the game. But at the end of it all, they create some sort of burden, these clubs. Vipers won't complain. Chitara won't complain. But these are real costs being made. I'll give you an example, say, of a team like say like Maroons. It's an institutional club, but you find yourself with the men's team that is playing in the EPL. They are traveling, say, to Arua. They have a junior team that is traveling to Mbarara the following day. And they have a women's team that might be going to Fort Porto.
Yes.
Well, the additions of the junior team and the women's team are meant to help. But at the end of it all, where are these people getting the money? If you ask Kasozi this morning where he gets the money that he's injecting and whether he has regrets about some of the money that he spent, I wonder what response he's going to give.
Yes.
You can say the same of Chobe and Vipers. How do we really support these clubs? The Federation talked about adding a bit of money, is the 3.4 billion shillings that has been mentioned as addition. But again, the Federation President, Moses Magogo, told us after the press conference, the last one that they held this week, that this money is not going to the clubs. It's going to, like directly, he said it's going to support the new reforms because they realize maybe there are other costs. Yes, maybe those costs will help cover up for those extra games that are played. But for me, that's still a small portion. Like he admitted, that's still a small portion. If you're adding clubs about 80 million shillings each for a season, that's, like he said, to use his own words, that's a drop in the ocean. And both Kasozi and Chobe can bear witness the money that they spend. We did a rough estimate. On a particular day, when the senior team is training, you spend between 700,000 and $1 million. I hope I've got the math right, but that was my basic calculation. Now,
and
yes,
that's at the minimum.
The minimum. So while yes, the Federation has shown an interest in supporting, but for me the clubs still need more, more of the money. And previously, I've liked that the Federation has shifted from the previous stance when they were stating that they are not going to support the clubs financially. Now the conversation has slowly shifted to have some bit of money. We have created an extra 3.4 billion shillings that we are going to give to the clubs, but it needs to be more, in my opinion. There have to be more deliberate efforts to try and get more money, because this very federation, when they put their mind to something, we've seen over the last, say, about 12 to 13 years that Moses Magogo has been in charge. For example, with the national team, when they fully focus on the national team has about 4 or 5 sponsors. And then you also add in the money that is brought in by government, because that money has not been given to clubs previously. It's been mainly going to the national team. Now, all I'm saying is, direct the efforts. After the national team, I think it is well paying at the moment. The remuneration is quite good. So shift that focus now to the league. Yes, there's been an improvement, but there's a lot more that needs to be done.
Okay, Haruna, don't Vipers, NEC FC and Sports Club Villa risk incurring the wrath of FIFA for saying we are not a part of this? And maybe to put it straight to you, the league starts in 2 weeks. Will Vipers take part?
The league starts
in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Will Vipers take part? Of course, when you look at where we are now, budgets had already been made.
Yes.
Basing on the what?
The old format.
On the old format of 30 games per season. Here we are, these are 35. And I want the viewers to get us right. Reforms are not bad. But reforms become bad when they are not particularly for the betterment of the what? Of the game. When you look at this whole scenario, in whose interests is FIFA doing this? We are the clubs. We had an old format, which we believe has been serving the game very well. And when you are shifting from such kind of a format, there has to be wider consultations. Like Elvis said, you have to prepare all the football stakeholders that in 2 seasons will be doing this.
Yes.
Look at IFAB. So many amendments have been made to the laws of the game. But whenever there is an amendment to be made, consultations, preparations have all been what? Have been made. FIFA, so many rules have been introduced to the game. But these rules have always gotten some consultations and wider consultations. And these clubs are not saying that all the reforms are what? Are bad.
Yes.
But the clubs are saying, give us more time to sit up there and appreciate this new format. What's wrong with that? And all these 3 clubs, they are not saying you are not going to play. They are saying we are going to play the league, but give us more time to study your new format. But Federation is saying, no way, you have to play now or never.
Okay.
And that alone brings in what? More questions. Is there something being hidden which we don't know? Is there a hidden agenda? Because when you force something onto the stakeholders, now like I say, the football product is going to be sold to the consumers. Those are the fans.
Yes.
Ever since the circular came out, you have been on social media and everywhere. A sizable number, or almost most of these fans are saying this is not the right the right format for the league, or this is not the right time to introduce this format. And in doing this, these are the same people whom you are going to sell the products to, the football product. So at the end of the day, the federation, despite the fact that they have all the powers, I think the egoism has to be dropped at the moment, so that they listen to everybody and all the major stakeholders of the game. At the end of the day, we will get a way forward in consultations and in engaging everybody on board. We even look at the sponsors. When they came into this contract, it was the other old format. They signed 10 years. Now the format is being done is being changed. How do you look at the sponsors? Who they have contracts in in existence?
Okay, we can be here all day, and of course this is definitely a topic that will have to be revisited because, like he touched on the idea of the sponsor. This morning I thought of the broadcaster who was planning for a normal season, and all of a sudden you find this is thrown on you. But this has been Morning at NTV. Felix Manyindo with Deo Kasozi, Haruna Chobe and Elvis Senono wishing you a very, very good day today.